Hey, I'm Coach Katrina, a personal trainer and owner of the club. I have lost 100 pounds 2 times in my life and gained it back 3 times. And what I find works best for my body and my mind is to just find balance with food. So here's Kleanish Eats with Coach. Hey, it's Coach Katrina back with Kleanish Eats, and today we are making chocolate banana muffins because I have an addiction to muffins, and my roommate Kelly often leaves muffins in a bowl for her guests, and I often eat them, and I need to stop doing that. And so instead of telling Kelly she needs to stop putting muffins out, I just need to make a cleaner version of the kind that I like, and then I can freely eat them without feeling the guilt of eating her muffins and maybe eating something that's more processed than what I could make on my own. So right now I just have some mashed up bananas in this bowl. I used frozen bananas. We had some frozen bananas. I put them in the microwave for about 2 minutes, peeled them. They peel really easily once you warm them up. And then I put them in the bowl, and then I just mashed them with this spatula. It says to mash them until it's kind of just like a chunky consistency. And then I'm going to add the wet ingredients. Now for this, the last time I did it, I used a mixer, like a KitchenAid mixer, but then I read that you don't actually need anything fancy, so it actually calls for a whisk, which I'll get that. So then I'm going to put the wet ingredients. So then it calls for 6 tablespoons of cashew butter or any other kind of nut butter. But this is quite expensive, so I asked Kelly what a substitute could be, and she said that I could use applesauce in place. So she said if I used about 2 applesauces, that would replace about half of my nut butter requirement. So I'm only going to be putting 3 tablespoons of nut butter. And then I'm going to be putting in 2 things of applesauce. I don't know how much this is. Maybe I should measure it, but I'm not going to. Honestly, this is why I don't bake, because I have a really hard time following instructions. I just like to kind of do what I want in the kitchen, but with baking you can't really do that. But when I did these the last time, my camera actually stopped recording, so that's why I couldn't use that last bit of footage. And a few things I left out and kind of did wrong, but they actually still turned out good from what I think. So I'm really excited to make them again, just properly. I'll let you know the mistakes I did make last time. I mean, first of all, I didn't have a muffin tin pan, so I used a loaf pan, so that could have thrown things off. I let them go too long, and I also, the step where I add in the dry ingredients, I was supposed to mix by hand and not mix using the mixer, so I think those things matter. So okay, nut butter is in there, applesauce is in there, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract go in next. 1 teaspoon. I also just the last time used regular serving teaspoons and tablespoons, but I think that this makes a difference. So that's 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then I need a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. We got some Hogan's Homestead maple syrup, so it calls for a 1/4 cup. Oh, that's a little more, but that's okay. Then, what's the last thing? Oh, now would be where I could be putting in the sugar, but I found the recipe to be okay without the sugar. So the applesauce will do a little bit of the sweetening, but yeah, I don't want to put a cup of sugar. It could be brown sugar, coconut sugar, white sugar, brown sugar. I don't think that's a thing. Coconut, cane, brown, yeah, white, yeah, those are all things, but I just didn't want to do it. So then the other little bit is that I need 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. 3/4 of this. Okay, And then is that it for now? Yeah. Okay, so then I'm just going to stir that by hand. I guess I should be using my whisk, but the bananas, because they were frozen, I don't know, this is just like really wet, so I don't feel like I need to work too hard to mix it. Okay, so that is good. Now I am going to add the dry ingredients. I'm a mess when I cook and bake, so I'm sorry. Next thing is the dry ingredients. So I'm going to be putting some whole wheat flour. And right now, by the way, the oven is preheating to 425 degrees. That's what it requires. Okay, so with the whole wheat flour, I believe it called for 1 3/4 cups. Yes. Okay, and then I just have the whole wheat flour here. 3/4. Yep. Okay, and then it calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay, so now I got that dirty. Let's just do this. Okay, 2 teaspoons. I have no patience. I really could just wash that and do it properly, but we're just gonna hope it still turns out the same. Okay, so 2 teaspoons. Oh, I said teaspoons. This is a tablespoon. God, okay, I'm just gonna take a little bit out and hopefully that's still fine. Okay, so that was supposed to be 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. This is a teaspoon, okay. And it doesn't have, well, I guess it's just salt, that's fine. How do I get in there? Can I just do this? Yeah. Okay, so 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, then it calls for 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. And then 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. I just got the darkest that I could, but I think I'm actually going to stir this or whisk this up first, and then I'll add the 1/2 cup of chocolate. Here it is. Okay. So, with these, it's kind of nice because I either use like the muffins as a running out the door, I'm late, didn't grab breakfast, like need something before I teach and then can eat after, so it holds me off there. If I'm doing like any errands or grocery shopping, it's just like nice to have like a muff on hand too to also tie me over, or it's nice to have them as like a dessert if I'm ever feeling like I want something chocolate and my sweet tooth is calling me, then this is a really good thing that can help me fulfill that without making me feel the guilt. And again, we talk about food, it really shouldn't be making me feel guilty. I think that we should just allow ourselves to eat the things when our body is craving them. However, I find with myself, when I get into a habit of eating something that's maybe not too good for me, then I crave it more and more and more. So if I just create a healthier, cleaner-ish alternative for it, then it is something that I can have when my body is asking for it. That won't make me feel like crap after, and then won't make me continue to crave it if it has like a ton of sugar or processed ingredients. Okay, so that was whisked. That looks good. And now I'm just gonna add the chocolate chips. I already greased up a pan, a muffin tin pan that has 12 spots in it. Okay, I'll get another baking out of that. So I didn't completely fill the 1/2 cup so that I can have some for the next time. I'm just gonna fold these in, and then I'm going to put them in the pans. So I just used a little bit of olive oil and a paper towel and just like, in the pan. Now I'm gonna pour them in. Okay, so you could be also filling this with like the paper muff cupcake things, but I'm just trying to use as little waste as possible. Nana's little scoop. I don't really know how much I should be filling these. I don't know, I think I should do that. Sorry, Nana, I wanted to use your scoop because it makes me feel close to you, but it was making a mess. So we're just gonna use a regular spoon now. Okay, so the recipe had called for 3 mashed bananas, but I put in 4 just cause, and I think that's why it gave me a little bit more, because I did, like, all of that did equal this amount. I think I should have filled these a little bit less, but I'm hoping that it doesn't screw everything up and that they cook well. So now I'm just gonna put them in the oven. Like I said, it's at 425 and it calls for, oh shoot, I forget, 27 minutes or something. Hold on, I'll figure that out and I'll let you know. I'll put these in and then I'll put my timer on. So it says place them in the oven and set a timer for 5 minutes. Once the 5 minutes has passed, immediately turn the oven down to 375 without peeking or opening the door, and then cook for another 13 to 14 minutes. Okay, so I think the 27 thing was when I did the loaf, so it's completely different for when it's the muffins. So 5 minutes at 425, then turn the oven down to 375, cook for 13 to 14 minutes. Check on them with a toothpick. If it comes out mostly clean, then they are done. Do not overbake, which is what I did last time. So I'm gonna really try to not do that again. Okay, so we'll see you in 5 plus 13 to 14 minutes. 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 12:25. So I did what it said, 5 minutes, turned it down, cooked for, I did 14 minutes because the first time at 13 when I put the toothpick in it was still wet, so then I left them in for another minute and a little bit. Then I took them out of the pan, put them on, it's supposed to be a baking sheet, but I don't know if we have a baking sheet, so I just used this. Then I let them cool down a bit. I guess Kelly did say that the extra baking powder would probably affect how they rose, so I don't really know. I hope they're good. We're gonna see in a sec. Okay, they're cooked. That's good. Yeah, they're definitely not as good as my last batch that I didn't make that mistake. So you could as well have put more chocolate chips on the top before you bake them, or you could put like nuts or oats or something if you want to, because I mean they look pretty boring. They tasted pretty good the last time I did them, even though I did make those mistakes. I think this mistake cost me again, but if you don't make that mistake, I'm sure they're great. And I got the recipe off of again, googled healthy-ish chocolate banana muffins, and then I searched through a few recipes and I liked the virtual vegans the best, so that's the one I chose. So if you want to refer back to her recipe, or I don't know, their recipe, you can just Google the virtual vegan and find this recipe too. Oh, maybe it's because I didn't put as many chocolate chips, Kelly. Like, I think the first bite I had, I didn't have any chocolate chip. So I took another bite and I actually got a chocolate chunk in with it, and now like it tastes good. So I think I just should have put the proper amount of chocolate chips, because maybe that is what makes them good. And I mean, I also don't put the sugar, so that could also be why it's tasting different. But yeah, much better once I got a chocolate bit in with it.